Start.
Start. Welcome everyone to another episode of our Explore podcast. I am Varun Gopu from the PGDM GM 2027 batch. Joining us is Mr. Amol Deshpande, the Group Chief Digital Officer and the Head of Innovation at RPG Group. Over a career spanning more than 25 years, Amol has led digital and AI transformation across industries, including automotive, agriculture, manufacturing, and life sciences. He is with us at Accelerate Jamshedpur to speak at the ReinVision 5.0, the Digital Transformation Conclave, themed Human AI Synergy, Reimagine Leadership in the Age of Intelligent Transformation. From engineering and product development to shaping enterprise-wide AI strategy, his journey reflects the evolution of technology and the integration of innovation, data, people, and leadership to create lasting value. It is a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Welcome to the podcast. I love to begin by understanding the journey behind the leader you are now. Your career has taken you from engineering and product development into leading AI and digital transformation for large industries. Looking back, which experiences fundamentally changed the way you think, and which lessons from those early years continue to influence the way that you approach your work?
Thank you, Varun. Happy to be here. See, looking back, one of the important learning I see is learning the basics hard way. There is no shortcut. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I had an opportunity to work on the mechanical industry. We learn the basics, learn the ropes, see things how they happen, how products are made, how processes are made, how the various aspects of manufacturing very early in my career, and I think that has created a very strong foundation for what has worked. If you know the basics well, then the methods and the processes will change. But by and large, if you are clear in terms of what the end objective is, then you can play it well. So there is no alternative to learning the basics real hard.
That's, I think, is a good lesson for us to carry forward, especially someone at the very nascent stage of their career. Thanks, sir. I also wanted to understand from you that the technology has evolved dramatically over the last 25 years. When you compare today's AI revolution with earlier waves of ERP, IIoT, cloud, and analytics, what has changed in today's technology adoption process, and perhaps what elements have remained constant?
See, this is very interesting. Two important aspects here. See, technology waves have been coming over a period of time, over the last 20 plus years, especially from the .com period. Technology has making a lot of shifts. Came with the web technologies and internet and so on and so forth, and came the mobiles and associated ecosystem which is there. Then came in more with the data analytics and reporting and those kind of things. And then there was systems, SaaS, PaaS, cloud, and so on and so forth. And today we are at the juncture of AI. Of course, the infrastructure, which is the technology infrastructure which is there, that has evolved significantly over the last several years. So if somebody had to look at a particular problem statement or an opportunity, the technological limitations are significantly reduced today. In terms of scale, in terms of ease of access, ease of deployment, ease of consumption, and ease of reach. Two important aspects. I'll come to the part of AI, but two important aspects is that between then and now, the user base has evolved. See, your end customer from the technology has become more mature. You must have seen some of those short videos where a very young baby just looking at a screen tries to tap, right? That's a generational shift. So you don't have it has become intuitive. It is something very working very naturally. So technology has literally gone into the hands of the people. It has made a lot of shifts in industry and enterprises also. Things have evolved, the way the companies look at problem statement, the way companies look at opportunity, how that can be used for a differentiated advantage, that has changed. And again, the speed has been a very key thing. So like I said earlier, one shift is that earlier there used to be a more gap in the two waves of technological change or technological evolution. That gap is reducing significantly in terms of time. With the advent of AI, see, AI is very old, it's not new. And it's more than 70 years old technology. The only thing is we didn't have an ability to easily access it, interact with it. With the evolution of Gen AI, it has created that kind of an interface where you can have those impressive piece of technology, algorithms, and how it can go further. In my view, this wave is very, very disruptive. We saw some disruption, we saw things changing. We become, as humans, we became more mobile native from digital literate, we have become a mobile native, right? And now we are at a juncture where we are looking at the AI side of it, right? Your question, what I find different is, see, this is game changing. This is like that tectonic shift. Okay. The earlier waves of technology brought a lot of shift on two parts, right? One, either in terms of efficiencies, operations, processes, and so on. So that's where it brought in when it came to enterprises, the streamlining of processes, getting structured way of data acquisition and data consumption, finding some solutions or answers to your business problems with the lens of data. That whole thing came in. Your consumption formats changed, right? Like I said, like e-commerce and the mobile native, your consumption touch points changed. AI is something which will disrupt it to a significant level. Okay, and that is for two reasons. In my view, it is that inflection point where people will have to unlearn and relearn. This is something which one cannot ignore. Think otherwise came very naturally to you. So it is basically that cycle shift where there would be pre-AI era and post-AI era. I think that is where the later shift is there. And that's where the earlier journey happened in phases. It did few things. It attacked, it addressed certain aspects of life in industrial scenario, in personal scenario. This technology is very young, so to say, but has tremendous potential to disrupt practically everything. So that is where I feel the AI shift is very significant, not to be taken lightly.
And so this entire phase of transformation is a transformation that we are seeing happening around us in the world. But what I also observe, what I also hear and see is that many organizations describe their digital transformation as a technology initiative, whereas some propose it or position it as a business transformation journey. What is your philosophy and how has it shaped the way you have approached your roles?
See, technology for the sake of technology doesn't yield too much. Any technology, unless it is coupled with a right business problem or a right business scenario, or a business case doesn't exist. It will not work. A very simple, basic principle that what it has to offer. The piece related to how you approach AI, that's the case in digital transformation is a whole story. In my view, the first and foremost prerequisite for any digital transformation program is to think digital. You cannot have that this is my existing process, so I just want to kind of move it from a paper-based to an electronic-based methodology. That's not digitalization. That is digitalization. Right? Digitalization is thinking it in the way of digital. How it can happen differently, right? Which has happened to our lives, how we order, how we consume, how we interact with businesses, how we interact with customers, how we deal with your suppliers. Everywhere that element needs to come in. Otherwise, you are just changing the template in which you are working, but you are doing the same thing. If you were doing earlier and do it in a new template, it's bound to fail more than it's succeed. Same applies with AI, but there is a difference in case of AI. If you want to apply AI, and that's what the philosophy we have at ReinVision, is that apply where it matters, where it creates an impact. It's not that one size fits all, so it doesn't do everything, so we look for those opportunities where it makes sense. Apply it there. And see, the other important aspect is having a very clear view on business impact it creates. Where I'm looking into it, whether it solves for a particular problem, am I doing things better, am I doing things faster, am I doing things in a differentiated way which is not competitive advantage. It needs to qualify certain criteria before you apply and deploy AI in these things. One is that filtering criteria, and the second is the people capability. See, it's like I come from an automotive background. First and foremost is, can you drive a vehicle? Right? So that's the question, can you use AI? I think we are at that foundational, this is a very foundational question. We are at that juncture where everybody needs to ask, do I know how to use AI? It's as simple as, do I know how to drive a two-wheeler? And there will be rules of the game, right? That would shape up as we go. But that capability building is something where we are very, very focused. See, the same people are going to use in a different format, so you need to make them learn what it is so that they can apply where it makes sense. It's not that, okay, just take it and start using it.
My takeaway from this is, sir, we have to be masters of a subject or whatever work we are doing. And AI is a tool. In the end, it is about how we use it. Tool might be a generalization or an oversimplification of AI, the capabilities that it can process, but in the end, it's an enabler. And it is up to us to use it right, and decide whether it is giving you the result or not. If my understanding.
Absolutely. See, that's what is important. Otherwise, it's a situation where things can go out of control in time.
And I'm very happy because you've answered my next two questions as well. I wanted to ask about how, at the intersection of business and technology, how do you decide what to work on? Is it influenced by the market, the kind of technology is influenced by the market, or business pain points? But I think I got the answer. It was very. There should always be a scope. There should always be a problem that needs solving, not just because technology exists.
So, Varun, there are two aspects to it, right? See, you could always, and this is becoming more prominent in the recent past, is there is a lot of push from the market, right? There is so much of awareness towards what is happening in the technology space. Earlier, that was very limited, very limited set of people knew about it. The kind of technologies which are coming in, it's one of those areas where everybody has an opinion. And whether that opinion is right or wrong, but they are entitled in their own view for that opinion. So one needs to find that right balance. And just to add the context of what you said, any digital transformation program or any AI transformation program is fundamentally to do with change management. There is hardly I would say 30 to 40% technology plays a role, but the rest of it is change management. that change management may come from multiple directions. One, it can come from the differentiated market forces which will want to respond to succeed. Second is it comes from your business process efficiencies. How do you improve yourself? How do you become more resilient, more agile, more adaptive to the changes which are happening around? And third is from people perspective. Right? So these three play a significant role. You take away processes, you take away people, and you take away the business scenarios. No technology or digital will not succeed.
And again, thanks for answering my other question as well. I'm very happy that this is so the alignment on how AI is, how I've understood, how we as students are understanding it, and insights we can get from leaders like you are very much helping the way we think. When you spoke about transformation programs, especially how large organizations handle it, because there is change management aspect to it as well. I was very curious about innovation by itself requires a lot of experimentation, and enterprises also need governance and risk management. What is also very important is not just about starting an innovation project, right? So it is about knowing when to stop. So have you developed any principles along your career to recognize when an initiative should be scaled, pivoted, or even shut down?
So I think this is a very interesting topic of innovation by itself. In my view, I see innovation in two parts. Okay, one is purely from a product innovation perspective, which can be a physical product, need not be a technological or digital product. Physical processes, which play a significant role in a manufacturing setup. Right? Anything which is non-electronic services consumption based, there is always a physical side. Often we tend to ignore that aspect that there is a lot of physical. We still live in a physical world. We are not completely in a while the verses are there, but we are still in a very physical part of it, right? Today's, I think the awareness and exposure towards the verses possibilities and what it could mean is very high, but we are still in a physical world. So one need not forget which is there when you are looking. So, in my view, I'll answer your question in two parts. So, from purely from a manufacturing and product development perspective, the whole aspect of design, development, engineering, manufacturing, supply chain distribution, sales, and customer engagement part of the whole life cycle of any product. There is a lot of physical aspect of it. And every stage in this journey is very, very opportune situation for innovation. Right? You can innovate in terms of how you engage with your customers, you can innovate how you do your supply chains, you can innovate how you manufacture better, more, faster, all those kind of things. How will you design in a differentiated way which will appeal to customers, which will be effective solution for the problem you are trying to solve. So there is an aspect of innovation. So at ReinVision we drive a very structured innovation process when it comes to where there is year-long activity where we encourage our people to participate, think what they can do in these aspects of our management. And of course there is a culmination and ideas. The other aspect of innovation is people involved. See, the best of the ideas would come from who has struggled or been pained because of some situation.
Ground realities.
It can be a salesperson on the field, it can be a person on the shop floor, it can be a designer or somebody. They have struggled to something, and that's where the actual innovation would come in. So, people aspect is very, very important. So, one is in what aspect you are doing. The other aspect in terms of innovation, the conventional or the larger canvas of innovation is also recognizing and celebrating failed innovations. It's not about all the success stories, right? It's also about what works. But it's not all about what works, it's also about what doesn't work. Because that teaches you probably more than what works in some cases. So we have a very structured program for that, and we try to we encourage people to participate in it. So that's in a larger innovation as a framework for organizations and enterprises. To your other part of the question, that how do you look at the scale and then start and stop. So see, there is always a stage gate mechanism in it, right? So you cannot just say, because innovation it doesn't happen like this, right? Or I'm going to work on an idea, it doesn't happen. So there needs to be a logical checkpoints, and what we are doing, we follow that process. And let me bring in the aspect of digital into this. So, see, there are in digital programs or other innovation programs, there are certain failure points which you need to watch out, right? First and foremost is the physical. What I'm chasing, right? What problem I'm chasing, what I'm doing, so that's one. Second is, the most important question is that shall we do it only because we can do it? And that I could do it, but shall I do it is a larger question and a more important question. So, first is specifically, second is you realize that okay, I can do it, but then do I need to do it? Is it viable? Right? That's the third part, right? So, if I should do it, why I should do it? Right? What business problem it's solving, or what kind of situation it is helping me to take forward. Either it is giving me a better ROI, it is giving me an efficiency, it is giving us opening up new opportunities which we want to explore as an organization, as a team. Those are the checkpoints which need to be asked at every stage. You cannot have that situation that let me just go. I would say a good innovation example will always be a capital T and not a small T, the way it is written. So you need to have a good balance of depth and coverage. If you are having only one pointed view and continue to pursue one aspect of the problem, you cannot have that right solution at the end. So those stage gate processes are very important, so that efforts are protected, guided, your investments are protected, guided, and there is a definitive outcome at the end. It's not that I'm shooting in the dark and then I move for something to happen.
Absolutely. I think the biggest takeaway here is that the philosophy of innovation, how we actually do it, where do we look for problems, is it worth solving, requires a larger organization. It's an innovation culture that has to drive this. And wanted to ask, what are your strategies? How do you propagate this innovation culture? How do you inculcate this within the ReinVision?
So see, like I mentioned earlier, we have a very structured program where we run innovation. We do it at 3 levels. First and foremost, people participation is very important. So, without people who know what is happening in their lives, they only can bring in one of the best solutions. They know the problems which are also which need attention. The other aspect of it is the way we look at it is in terms of internal outsourcing. Right? When you work with a pool of large number of people like ReinVision, where we have diversified businesses, a problem can have a solution coming from very different businesses, right? And it's always worth to check with them that what's happening, and that's where we have been very successful in running some of the internal crowdsourcing of ideas. We also do external crowdsourcing where we work with experts, we work with people who work in those niche areas which are there. And to add to your earlier point in terms of the experimentation, so we encourage people to come and experiment with technology. So for which we had created separate experimentation zones which are limited access, limited controlled environments where people can come and experiment, because if you don't experiment, you don't know what you're trying to do is working or not. I spoke earlier about the capability building, right? So even in capability building, we are focused on building AI capability. But that AI capability building, just an example, is that even an opportunity for people to experiment what they have learned. It's not about, okay, you look at this e-learning tool or actual classroom workshop. Unless you practice it yourself, unless you give a prompt, you don't know what you are getting. The prompt engineering people are very, focused about it, like to talk about it. But prompt engineering is only successful when you use it. It cannot be a course that, okay, I studied for a certain number of credits and then I forget it. It is absolutely right. So those are the areas where we encourage people to use a lot of e-learning tools, and actually we encourage people to practice it so that it becomes more. And we are seeing some fantastic results where a larger population, employee population, is getting participated in these events, these initiatives, and it has become very, very competitive. The last but not least aspect is recognition. So you celebrate what is successful, you celebrate what is not successful in the same breath. Right? And in my observation, there is a lot of, if one person has done, then I also have something similar to show, so that increases the participation and that kind of a recognition at a group level platform or even at a company level platform, we encourage that to happen. So people are recognized at their plants, their divisions, at their company levels, and also eventually at a group. And there is a very clear cut, support and drive for innovation and commitment, right from the top leadership to the last one standing. So that builds some culture. So that's something that it does.
It's very heartening to know that such a big group is because such an initiative or such a cultural transformation that is requires a lot of effort, requires a lot of time and investment as well. And it's not just about if we are just focused on chasing our business metrics. This is not a vision that can be easily realized.
Right. It's definitely a cultural aspect. It needs to be a part of life. It has to be a way of life. And we are seeing some very good results. So more than 40%, 45% of the population is participating in innovation activities in one way or the other. That's a very encouraging number. And this year, last season, so we had looked at it. So there is a 40% of digital and AI is a key component in every innovation aspect which we are seeing. I think that is something that people think in AI way, people think in digital way is something which is very, very important.
Great, sir. Sir, I would like to focus on the journey from innovation to an enterprise technology transformation, which is a topic that we touched right now. So, the RPG group operates across very diverse industries, and we would like to know how do you create a common AI or a technology vision cutting across all these industries while still respecting the different needs, the maturity levels and the priorities of each businesses.
So it's a good one and it's a tricky one both. Right? So see, when you are in very diversified business scenarios, or even in the adjacency business scenarios, in my view, the most important point to focus on is what are the business needs, what are the business priorities. See, one technology solution does not fit all. That's a very fundamental principle. Right? I may have an application of one particular technology across, but that intensity, the depth and coverage of that application of that technology may not be the same across. So one is very important to know what are the business needs, where they are in their journey as a business. The second important aspect is the digital maturity of the business processes. So maturity in terms of processes, in terms of the amount of digital proliferation, the level of people capability. It's a combination of so many things. now sometimes it is in the interest that you deploy certain things at scale, centrally and large, so that you bring in that standardization when it comes to governance, when it comes to compliance, when it is coming to the land and those kind of scenarios, and you find the best fits kind of solution. In some cases, you have to have that flexibility for businesses to do what it is. If some business is very young, you cannot give a very complex enterprise-grade system where it would make it practically difficult to run everyday operations. So, see, that's my experience, right? So, you need to give a flavor of the technology which suits the business at that point in time. Typically, what I have seen working is there is always a mix of something between going to your professional aspect and a focused approach on emerging technologies or the emerging needs of the business addressed through technology. One should be very focused upon, and that's where you need to be more ambitious, be more forceful. You want to be more, looking forward to change things with that. And then there would be a balancing out on with AI kind of technology that's important. When technologies are new, it needs to be understood the impact and implications and the challenges of those technologies, and that's where you try to fit in the common framework for everybody, so that in the early stages nobody falls on the rail. And then one can have their own journey. Of course, one business will not have the same use case like another business unless you are dealing with some common functions. Because procurement will happen a little differently, manufacturing will happen a little differently, supply chain will happen a little differently. So they will have their own journeys, but in the common functions like finance, which are some aspects of procurement also there will be a commonality. And that's how you choose. So maybe it's of multiple sizes, but not one size which fits all.
So when we spoke about this, it's undeniable that there's excitement around AI, the generative AI aspect of it. But there's also some uncertainty, which is what you touched upon. From your perspective, what separates organizations that are building lasting AI capabilities from those that are simply experimenting with the latest tools? Because there is also a fear of missing out that we had spoken yesterday, and this approach of just boiling the ocean. Right? People are just using technology where they seem fit or whether it will work out for them or not. How important is building lasting capabilities while also making sure that resisting the change to resisting the urge to not actually move on because the market is just moving?
See, that's always been a case with any new technology moving on board, right? I'll go back to what I said earlier, that people will have an opinion and they have an opinion about technology. Right? Now, how deeper, how valid that opinion is subject to discussion and debate. Okay, but purely from a adoption and implementation point of view, see, one needs to be very mindful. I'm speaking in context of AI, that what is happening to my data? What is the data sovereignty? Is my data being used in a way where it creates an opportunity for unsolicited exposure? Am I solving for what it is? Because there is what I like to call is, with this whole euphoria around AI, right? There is a tendency of, you might have heard this term, bring your own device, right? There is an element like bring your own AI. Okay? So everybody would like to show off. Okay, you did this, I did this with this tool, right? There is so many of them, right? So if you follow the AI startups, the number of AI startups worldwide, they are increasing in hundreds, if not thousands, on a weekly basis. Right? So earlier, which one could fit on one slide and could read the next, today you can just see some probably pixels. Those many are the number of companies which are there, startups, or everybody wants wants to do it. So one needs to be very mindful of what you are doing, what you are bringing to the, what you are using for what purpose. And from an enterprise perspective, I think those guardrails are important. Responsible AI is very critical. And for that, I'll again go back to basics. You need to teach people. Right? So, what is a safe usage of AI? What happens if you do it? Right? It's like
Ethics.
the ethics part of it, yes. So it's like again learning to drive a vehicle. Right? What is safe driving? What is not safe? What you do, what you don't do. So it's like that, and that's where the important aspect. Two things I'll give you. Three things I will give you. One is what technologies do you use. Second is how well your people are equipped to use those technologies, how well they are trained on to. And third is what's your business context for which you are using it. So that's something which are the three key parameters I would say. This is which you can decide what to give and what to do. Of course, at some point in time, in my view, this whole euphoria will die down. People have already started realizing the actual challenges of deploying it at mass scales, the commercial implications of it, the executional challenges of it. It's not one thing for sure, it's not plug and play. Beyond a point. One has to do some kind of tweaking, some customizations, contextualization of the whole thing. That's where the actual business is.
So when driving AI implementation at a large scale, how do you think leaders should build an ethical AI culture by going ahead? We spoke in length about ethics, how do we use it, where we should use it, and about the entire algorithm. But how do you think leaders should approach it while also making sure that the technology is being implemented at the same time?
See, the entire leadership plays a very, very important role in this whole process. Okay? In my view, this is one of the most significant agenda item on the charter for any CS, any leader, any boardroom discussion. This is one of the most important. My take on to that is that those conversations when they are happening across the level, they need not be only driven because of FOMO. That there is a lot of action happening, and are we doing anything about it? And a lot of organizations, even in our PG, we are looking at how do we use it to our benefit. If this is my business strategy, how does this help me? Right? How do I do things better? Are we applying it where it is making sense? Am I thinking differently? Am I thinking better? Am I exploring some of the otherwise untouched areas when I'm solving for a business problem? I think that is where the AI ball is today, and that needs to be seen. How efficient are our designs? Are we complementing it in a human effort? Is an important aspect. It's not. I firmly don't believe that. Of course, unless the singularity kind of a situation will come in, that it would replace humans as man. It is more about how it will augment what people are doing on a daily basis. And then it is up to people that how do they use this as a fantastic aid, do what they need to do better, just getting without getting lost into the euphoria and the noise and what's happening in a very structured way.
This topic that I wanted to touch next, and it creates a natural segue between from what you said about people thinking whether it can replace unless it's a singularity situation. I want to talk about manufacturing. I see that it's something that excites you from a conversation today, and from one mechanical engineer to another. Sir, I want to ask about technology in manufacturing, especially that manufacturing has seen a lot of transformation, several waves of technology transformation, from automation to connected factories. Now with dark factories even coming up. How do you see AI, especially in this, redefining manufacturing over the next decade, and what opportunities, especially that will be uncovered by AI, excite you the most?
See, that's a very futuristic point of view which is here. I'll answer it in two parts. One is what is in the short term and which is a possibility. You talked about dark factories, right? It's a good idea, but very far from reality at this point in time. Right? I don't think we have those kind of scenarios where there are maybe some exceptions, but there is hardly anything which is humanless in manufacturing. And I think we as humans have always taken a pride in what we make. Right? So I think that aspect will remain. In the shorter term, Varun, the idea is, see, manufacturing has come a long way. Nobody had thought of remote monitoring of the factories, remote controls of the factories. It was always in person, physically there kind of a scenario when we look at manufacturing technology, and that has changed. I think the earlier waves of digital and technology transformations have aided that journey, whether it is in terms of the IoT, industrial IoT, in terms of the edge computing, and the infrastructure effectiveness when it comes to edge computing or those kind of scenarios, and connected factories and whatnot, and the manufacturing execution system, integrated manufacturing, make to order, and all those kind of scenarios. I think we have been able to very successfully as an industry been able to address the aspect of traceability, which is very, very key. That has helped a lot in terms of better services, better customer reach out, and better customer experiences also. Right? I think we as humans are okay with some issues as long as they are getting addressed in time and quality. So that is something which has come along. What I see shifting is, we just started generating data in structured data. That structured data availability was not there earlier in absence of these interventions. And with that blending of AI, I see a lot of simulations happening. A lot of possibilities coming up, right? So, which I think gives a very strong starting point with a lot of impetus to do things differently. Probably it would impact into cycle times, probably it would impact into performance efficiencies of what you are doing. One of our companies here is like certified, right? That is the highest level of excellence which one can get in industrial innovation, industry 4.0. Scenario where you solve actual real life problems. It's not for the purpose of and that is bringing in. I think, in my view, there are 2 to 3 areas which I see would be significantly impacted, and AI will help a lot. One is safety into the manufacturing operations, manufacturing shop floors of factories. The human safety will be much better handled. Because then you have almost infinite eyes and ears and hands to take action on maybe the digital and electronic forms, right? So that's one idea. Secondly, I think the evolution would come to the signature performances, which today is a very, very missing area in all engineering and manufacturing aspects. That what is the best performance signature of an equipment or a manufacturing line? In my view, that's where the digital economy will play in manufacturing in future. Okay. There would be a completely different line of opportunities, new models of engagement, new models of services which will come into manufacturing. And that is something which would create the element of, and that would work hand in hand when you have digital tools. That's the third aspect. And it's a long way. So unless you solve for these 3, those dark factories is a distant dream, right? Do I have everything, every possible element which is there in a physical form? Does it exist in my digital twin? Are my digital twins capable of handling those scenarios and simulations? And most importantly, this whole orchestration, is it cost effective? See, India still has that cost differentiation when it comes to the labor cost, when it comes to the overall cost of operations. We are very competitive in the world. Right? Now, just for the sake of automation and doing that, brilliant offset is a very interesting thing to see. So these three things in my view are going to shape up the future of manufacturing in a very differentiated way. Shorter horizon, I would say, and our practice probably is.
Yes. In theory, yes, but the reality is, like I said, the ground realities reflect a very different picture. But a very ambitious picture nonetheless. I'm glad I saved one of the best questions for the last. So before we end, a very quick question, very more than a question. It's about if you were mentoring a young engineer or an MBA student entering the workforce today, what technical and human skills would you encourage them to develop to remain relevant in a very technology-driven and AI-driven economy?
That's a very interesting for the audience also. Right? See, Varun, I'll go back to where I started. See, know your subject well. It is independent of technology. If you are a mechanical engineer, if you are a civil engineer, if you are an arts student, if you are a commerce student, it doesn't matter which faculty, even a medicine student or a medical labs, human sciences, it's irrespective of which stream you come from, know your subject well. In my view, this is a very personal view I have is if you know that core well, then technology is there for you to take it forward. Yes. So one is know your core well. I asked for a short answer, so I'll give a very short answer. One is know your core well. Second is learn AI for the purpose of application, not for the purpose of I know AI. And third is you said that the aspect about the human-centric aspect of it, right? See, somewhere I feel we are becoming very digitally connected and physically disconnected.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would say I still find that in the world of so much of digital connectedness, physical connect and those physical conversations and those 1:1 engagements are still far effective than how the way digital connect. So don't forget that human connect part of it. While we operate in a digital world, we are still humans.
And thank you so much. Touching about connections and ending so well, every question I think led to each other, and this was also such a rewarding experience. Sir, it was a pleasure having you here with us in XRH in Chittoor. And thank you for not just sharing your expertise, but also a lot of insights. Every answer was brim with insights. And thanks for also sharing leadership lessons that have shaped the way that you have approached your career. So we wish you continued success in your role, and wish you to continue to shape the future of innovation here in your. Thank you so much for being.
Thank you very much, Varun, for having me here, and I wish you and the other fellow students at XLR all the very best.
Thank you to the audience for tuning in.